Politicians and celebrities make deals behind closed doors, promises broken, and their income soars. Hidden agendas run the grand parade. In the circus, choose a masquerade. Believe me, I wouldn't lie. I've been given money, power, and fame to keep you in line.
Welcome, everyone. Today we are here to talk about the TikTok ban and how it might have, in a roundabout way, showed Americans that America is ghetto. So we might have it might go through on, I think it's Sunday, we might get the TikTok banned. And of course, lots of Americans have been making money off of TikTok, have started businesses on TikTok. And it's a great way for even your grandma to sell like herbal supplements or whatever. And people really like the community. And I know there's a lot of stuff against it because there was a lot of press around it saying it's Chinese propaganda and all that stuff. When we already know that Ian Carroll did a whole expose on it and found out who owns it and who these people are. And there are two branches of the TikTok, but then when it was brought to the US, it was purchased by Oracle, which used to be a part of, goes deep into government. So basically it is US propaganda. It is a government app, right, from the US for the people in the United States, right? Okay, so, and they use it as a propaganda machine when they want us to focus on something else, focus on the aliens, focus on the drones, focus on this, so that they can pass policies that we don't pay attention to and slips through the radar. So this is just a keep you busy and focus on something else type of app, right? But without people realizing it, it's still, even though there's lots of propaganda on there, so they're getting their propaganda out there, there are also a lot of people who were communicating with each other and sharing information that they did not want us to share. And that's when all this talk about banning the TikTok app came out. And I know a lot of people are like, I would never go on TikTok. TikTok is evil. But you need to go and listen to the Ian Carroll thing where he dives deep onto who really owns and funds TikTok. It's American. So it's the same people behind like your Facebooks and your Instagrams and your YouTubes and even your Rumbles. So it's the same. Whatever that we have access to, it's the same people. Anyways, so here's a little clip of what happened. So initially, when the TikTok ban started getting around that it might happen, the people who were on TikTok started getting really upset because they're like, we don't want it to be banned. We want freedom. We want the option to go on it if we want to go on it. Like if we agree to the terms of service, that's our agreement. You don't get to tell us, like, the US basically is like saying we know that they're watching and that the CIA uses freaking Facebook and our private messages and what we look at and what we like and what we interact with to like profile us. We know this. But like for some reason Americans are a little bit brainwashed. They're like, we're okay with our own country doing it, but not another country, when in turn it actually is all the same. It's always been the same. But again, this is just more stuff for us to talk about and fight about and not pay attention to what's really going on in our own country. So that aside, whether you think it's a Chinese spy app or not, I really don't care. Let's find out what does Ian Carroll say about what happened. So what happened was, as soon as this stuff started going on, everybody started going, I'm going to protest. I'm not going to give up I don't want to go back to Instagram. I don't want to go back to Facebook. That place is toxic as hell. TikTok is pretty fun. The algorithm, if you're on TikTok, you can customize it in ways you can't any other social media. YouTube is probably the closest, and it's not, because when you're scrolling, it starts showing you garbage it wants you to see after a while. So then you get bored. You don't get that on TikTok because TikTok shows you stuff that's really interesting. That being said, and if you go fast over something that you don't like, even though they're trying to show you propaganda, they eventually get the point and they go, okay, we can't show this person this. They're not going to watch it. And if we keep trying, they're going to get off the app. So it's smarter than the other apps. So you can actually very easily customize it to just see really fun stuff. And I absolutely adore my algorithm. It's a good, positive vibes. it is. But they do try, like when you're in a bad mood, if they sense a bad mood from your searches elsewhere, whatever, which all the apps are connected. All of them are connected. Whatever you look at Facebook, whatever you search on Google, whatever you do, they're all connected. They're all spying on you. The Windows and the Apple operating system themselves are sending this information everywhere. Okay. So let's not pick on one little app that has done a lot for our economy and for people. Now, yes, it is also a mental health mental illness spreading app. Okay. Yes, it is. But if you don't have a mental illness and you're strong enough to create and curate your own algorithm, you'll be okay. That's why I feel like probably we should have, before any social media, some sort of mental health check. Like, do you qualify to be able, are you mentally capable of handling this type of technology? If not, like, let's take it away. Or for people who can't handle that technology, have a different algorithm that's more positive and uplifting. Of course, the government won't do that for us. Of course, it's never going to happen. If we don't make it ourselves, it won't ever get done. Anyway, so everybody got pissed off and they are moving to, I think it's called Red Note. I don't know what it's called. Something red. And it's the Chinese version of TikTok, the original one. And you've always been able to download it. Here, it just only people who come from China use it to like communicate with what's going on back home, or to, whatever. Like if they're interested in, I don't know, looking at cooking recipes that are traditional Chinese recipes, whatever. So it's always been accessible here. There's always been Chinese immigrants that looked at it, and now Americans have flooded over the app. Okay, so that is what you need to know to understand this clip.
On with this Red Note app, this China app thing is amazing. To fill you in on this, it's like the most little brother energy thing ever, and it's happening on a mass scale, like millions of people. So the TikTok ban is going through a couple days, and Gen Z is like, no, fuck you. Because we all know that the Israel lobby is who's behind the TikTok ban. It has nothing to do with it. Look up Project Texas. It's controlled by Oracle already. It's not Chinese propaganda. And even if it was, they're not concerned about our data. If they were concerned about our data, they would have passed data privacy laws, not banning TikTok. Trump tried a TikTok ban bill way back, and it didn't get enough support. And it wasn't until October 7th and the Israel lobby and, support for Palestine breaking out all across TikTok and across young people in general, that something actually started to get done. And so now that they're going to ban TikTok, what does Gen Z do? They're like, well, fuck you. We'll go download another Chinese TikTok app. And so Red Note is this Chinese, straight up like in Mandarin app. It has now launched to #1 on the App Store. You can download it yourself. I downloaded it onto my phone just so that I could be a part of that statistic of how many people are downloading it, because that's hilarious. And then what winds up happening? You wind up with American citizens and Chinese citizens just on the same app chatting with each other, like teaching each other Mandarin. They're like doing cultural exchange. It's hilarious.
Would be watching grocery hauls. Chinese grocery hauls are insane because they can actually afford food.
All the TikTok refugees, are you kidding? America's literally burning, and I'm so sorry, guys, that you have to be here. Change the freaking layout to the same layout like TikTok. We hate it. It used to not be like that. Now it's just all fucked. Like your legislation system. Don't worry, we're not like the Americans. We'll not tell you to go back to your country. The internet is a free space, so feel free to roam around.
And the end result is a whole bunch of people realizing that most of our opinions about people in other countries is based entirely on propaganda. And most of the people in this world are just normal, wonderful people, just like you and me, that just love their families and want the best for their people and their communities. And, more or less agree on 99% of things. And that most governments are pretty corrupt and pretty horrible. And we pretty much all generally oppose governments and get along with people. Now, is there a psyop layer to this? Like, is it organic, or is it, artificially inflated or created? Maybe. I mean, there's a strong argument to be made for the China lobby's influence in a Trump presidency and Chinese tech alliances and tech firms and just big Chinese money. Like, there is an argument to be made for there being a conspiracy theory here, but I really don't think that that's actually the point. I don't think that the American citizens going to Red Note are like China loyalists. Like, obviously, they don't really give a shit. They're just protesting and making a point that in this day and age, we're all free people, and we all have the freedom to make our own choices. And the legacy concept of access being controlled by the government is gone. And it's taking years for the internet to evolve into the, sort of vehicle of freedom that it's eventually becoming, with a strong dose of potential vehicle of tyranny thrown in there. But as it does evolve, and as we all evolve with it in our understanding of like what
Has anyone else taken the time to translate the community guidelines on RedNote? Because I'm shocked. I'm gonna show you the translation, but I was looking because I was concerned that maybe like I was being a little impulsive with downloading it and posting on there. I'm like, ooh, I should really look at what the rules are because I don't want to get in trouble with the Chinese government. I was expecting a lot of logistical things, kind of like our guidelines, like very logistical, very like cut and dry to the point. There is so much humanity, like just, oh my God, it's so different than our guidelines. Okay, so there was like some logistical things, right? But wealth is hard to come by and it is scarce for most people. Therefore, if you have relatively more wealth, please have empathy in the process of sharing consumption, take the initiative to consider the feelings of others, avoid waste, and respect workers and service workers. The Little Red Book community has a large number of content to share the consumption process and results to provide reference and suggestions for everyone. So, whether it is useful to others will be an important criterion for judging the behavior of showing off wealth. This part is what really got me. Please encourage ordinary people to speak and share. The Little Red Book community is still growing and more users will pour in. They come from different regions and have different social and educational backgrounds. Even if their life experience and creative ability may be temporarily different from those of professional creators, it does not mean that they cannot contribute good ideas. It is the core value of the Little Red Book community to welcome, encourage, and tolerate the speech sharing of newcomers and ordinary people. Please don't be stingy to express your love through likes, follows, and other behaviors. They also encourage people to not over edit their videos and like be deceptive about the way that you look or the editing process when it comes to the beautification of anything. If your sharing involves others, please adhere to the principle of voluntariness and respect the privacy, portrait, reputation, and other right of others. If your sharing involves the deceased, please take the initiative to consider the dignity and privacy of the person concerned and his family. If your sharing involves vulnerable groups, please sympathize with the other party's situation to the greatest extent and maintain the dignity of the other party. Please respect the content shared by users. Respecting others and their achievements is a basic prerequisite for communication between people. Please treat and share sincerely with friendly interaction. In interaction with others, no reason can be used as an excuse for misconduct or rudeness. The respect and protect.
Dang it. Okay. So, Adam, I just wanted to say, since maybe you weren't here in the beginning, we already went through that the app was originally in China, but when they brought it over here, American intelligence took over it. So it's never been a Chinese app. Just because the name and the original components of the app were purchased and brought over here does not mean it had anything to do with China. In fact, it never did. And it was always a propaganda machine. It's just they kind of lost control over it and they've lost the narrative. And that is why they decided to get rid of it. And there's a lot of pushback from the people to keep it. And now we're here.
Protection of dignity is something that is so not present in American culture. Every sharing that is useful to you has paid a considerable and creative cost, and the sharer must have invested a lot of time and energy. When you ask for more specific.
So basically, she goes on for a while reading the terms of service, and there's really not a lot of nefarious things like every single terms of service that we have to agree to just to go on the internet. So we have to give away everything, and there's no protections. China does not care to spy on us. It's our own government. It's always been. Adam, go and watch the Ian Carroll's thing. It's on, I think, probably his X account. Just go look up Ian Carroll. Just give it a chance. Just suspend your belief and open your mind. But anyways, she just goes on and on about how like there's a lot of time and consideration for the terms of service to be kind and respectful to your other human beings, not to be a show off, not to promote like fake beauty, not to, lie, not to, all these things that America is like, go ahead and do it. It's the only, no degeneracy, all the things that in America, they're like, pump that out and we will support you. Like all the dumb garbage that we are fed, it's all our own intelligence organizations forcing us to show that. So, yeah. Okay. There's another one. Oh no. Okay, here we go. I have to show you this one. Trying to find it. Hold on. Anyways, I can't find that one. It was a really good one. So let's share this one.
I think we all seen what's going on Xiaohongshu, aka Red Notes, right now, right? And it's the first time that American people and Chinese people are communicating with each other with no barrier between them. And they found that a lot of things they heard about each other are completely wrong. I am an authentic Chinese and I live in Canada for over 14 years.
Authentic.
I'm going to talk about the 3 biggest lies I often see online about China. Number 1, social credits. This is so fucking stupid. You guys don't actually believe that there is a hidden score for everybody born in China, and the government's gonna track you and mark you, and once your score go negative and you sentenced to death. What? I have never ever heard about this thing in my life. It's so funny to see so many West.
So this one isn't as interesting, but like I compiled a list of things because I went through tons of them, and the people are talking back and forth and they're sharing, the differences between the US and how the people live in China and the perceptions of each other. And it's really interesting. So like the Chinese people were saying to the Americans, we have zero homelessness. It's like 0.00 something 8 or whatever % homelessness. And it's because everyone has a family house in the country and like a city apartment. So there are no house taxes yearly or whatever. It's just a 1% tax at the time of purchase, right? You pay 1% tax for the home at the time of purchase. And then there's a renewal fee, a tiny renewal fee, maybe a couple $100 or maybe 1,000 or something like that every 70 years, right? And you can easily transfer it from generation to generation. Just pay whatever every 70 years. And that's your family's home forever. You can lose your job tomorrow and you will never be home. You will always have a home. So all the food is organic and pesticide free. They do not use labor to pick their food or whatever. That one of the girls was talking about, like we have drones that spread the fertilizer and that pick the crops. We don't have like slave laborers like, all the propaganda is. There's no car tax just at the time of purchase. There's no like tags and registrations and licensing fees and once a year, whatever, and additional insurance, like all that stuff is an American thing. And the Americans were commenting that the people in China look youthful and less traumatized and happier than the population in America. And the Chinese were commenting on, why do you guys look so crazy? Why do you guys look so messed up? Like literally, when you look at the average American and the average Chinese person, what are you going to notice? You're going to notice the average American looks like they've been through it. We're traumatized. They are just like pumping fear, 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 hate, 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 fear, fear, division, hate, hate. That's all that we get all the time. And over there, it's just like community, care about each other, help each other, blah, 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 blah. Complete opposite. So it's going to show up on their face. Let's see. It's free, high quality healthcare that is not controlled by big pharma. So there's no incentive to like give you certain expensive treatments. So like the corporations can make big bucks here and then funnel this money to there and do fake research to get you to take some drug that's going to off you, but like at least they'll make a lot of money first and blah, blah, blah. It's not run like that. So people are not chronically ill and given chronic lifetime medications to deal with that while they're making them sicker, having more side effects, and then having to give them more pharmaceutical drugs with additional side effects to take care of those side effects, and on and on and on and on. The average American ends up being on what, like 11, 12 medications, and most of them cause problems worse than the initial problem that led them to take the first medication. Yeah. This place is hell, guys. So working class Chinese girl did cost of living for the day. Now, this is not including like rent and stuff like that, but she just like what I spend in a day on an average day as like a lower middle income single woman, right? So she's a young woman, and she wakes up, she broke down the cost of her makeup, the taxi ride to the office, her coffee before getting into the office, her lunch, which was a very nice lunch, and then all the groceries she bought for dinner. And maybe a few days later, it was a lot of groceries. She said it was for dinner, but it looked like for a couple days. And it was $17 US for one day. Americans spend $100 if they leave their house. Easy. Like we can't go outside. Like that's why we're all like afraid to go outside, and we're chronically online because we're like, it's expensive out there. What am I supposed? You have to pay for like parking and everything is hell here, you guys. Okay, and then look, there's this woman. She's very mad. She goes through like a 5-minute thing where she starts talking about like all the statistics that she's learned being on the app, and how like we have like all these open like unused homes, and like we have taxes forever. We have taxes on things that we've already paid taxes on, taxes upon taxes upon taxes, taxes to give what we own to our friends and families, taxes on, like, it's just ridiculous. And all it's done is made sure that there's no transfer of wealth to the next generation. It's gotten rid of that, which perpetually leaves us in debt slavery. Our education system, again, debt slavery. Everyone can get in. It doesn't matter. They accept anyone, even if like there's going to be no jobs at the end of your education. They'll sell you a basket weaving degree for $300,000 if you're dumb enough to pay for it. America, bro. So that is not done in China. You have to meet stringent criteria to get into the universities for specific things, and they make sure that there's a need for that job when you're going to get out of it. You're not just wasting your time. I am not simping for the CCP. And yes, food is cheap, but it's also not going to kill you. And that, why can't we have food? Why can't we have the conversation of the food here is poison? Everyone is sick. Everyone's on chronic medications. Everyone has a gut disorder. Everyone has like bloating after they eat because this stuff is toxic as hell. Food does kill. Okay. Yes, it does. I don't know what you're talking about. Yes, it does. Show me your stomach after you eat and before. If it's bloated, something's wrong. It's not supposed to be bloated. Absolutely not. Look around. Of course the food is hurting us. I mean, kinda. Yeah, look, the food here is a problem. I don't know how to break it to you guys. You can eat, my friend from Italy. So, no, he was living in Paris. Okay, so he came to visit us after living in Paris for years, and he had been here eating the exact same thing. He eats a can of pasta, and we have the same brand here, right? The same pasta brand here, right? So he gets the same pasta, the same pasta sauce, and he gets some ground beef, and he makes the same, because he's just like one of those people that eats the same thing every day. The same thing every day. That's what he eats. And he gained, okay, wait for it, in 2 weeks, 60 pounds. 60 pounds in 2 weeks. The same brands. One is sold to Americans, one is sold to Parisians. The same thing, okay? Yes, it's the chemicals. And also we're allowed to label things and not include the chemicals. We can hide it under other words, and they're constantly changing the laws so that we can put other words. He did. I really don't care. Come on, Palpatine. I'm looking at him. He comes down every year or so, and I see it, and I see it. And then he goes back there, and I'm like, show me your gut. And the gut has receded, and he's like, I don't know what is going on over there. Look, you don't have to believe it. It doesn't really matter. Look around, my friend. Look at your neighbors. Look at the average person. Just look at the people who you don't normally look at, because you're only looking at the hot people. Let's face it. That's what we're all doing. We're all looking, oh, that's nice. Look at the regular people. Just look at 10 people and then average out like what their body is doing. Go to Italy and then do the same thing and come back to me and tell me our food's not fucking killing us. It is. So anyways, so she goes on to the whole cost of living and how she just realizes it's a third world dumpster fire, which it is 100%. Okay. Oh my, I'm not going to share that. I don't think you're allowed to say that. Anyways, so I think I already read this one. Oh no, there was another one. Oh, here we go. This one. So this might be the end, because after just a few days of all the Americans going to this app, the Chinese people got really pissed off. Okay, before they got pissed off, there was some good stuff that happened. A lot of the Chinese people were helping Americans help them do like their kids' homework and teach them like shortcuts to do like math problems and stuff, because every country has a different way of like doing math, believe it or not. Completely different. And a lot of them have shortcuts so they can get to the answer faster and like very quick. Americans purposely, I swear this is all by design, purposely, they make you do the problems the very, very long way to get the answer. And they say you're not allowed to use the shortcuts here. So in other countries, they have shortcuts for math. So they were sharing those with the Americans, and the Americans were like very grateful. Also, they were taking them on grocery hauls. They were showing them how they cook traditional Chinese food, and they were making fun of them for saying like, we do not have like little cookies with fortunes that we eat after dinner, and we also don't eat orange chicken or like kung pao chicken and all this stuff, and you know, whatever. So it was very cute. But then this happened.
Ruined Red Note within 2 business days. Now you guys are happy? They're working on separating 2 servers based on the IP. That means people located in US will never see any content that created by Chinese people, which means you will never see Chinese people's posts, and which also means for people like me, who's born and raised in China, but right now live in US currently, we are not able to see any Chinese content anymore. Do you even know what does it mean? Red Note has been such a wonderful platform for us. It's like friendly, girls, good vibes. We can search for useful information. We can even search for like fashion ideas, recipes, everything. And now suddenly it's because of you guys revenging your government. And I'm the victim now? Please stop what you guys doing. I don't know. Probably you guys already destroyed it. Too late.
So another happy Chinese person in the US. But there are some people who really like the Americans over there and were very friendly. One guy was talking about how sometimes the Chinese people would message them and be like, tell us, like, I don't know, like, how big is your home? We heard that like everybody has like 50 guns in the house. Like, how many do you have under your bed? And like, are you a cowboy? And like all these stereotypes. And then they're kind of sharing, well, when you jaywalk, do you lose? How many social credit score points do you lose? And they're like, what are you talking about? That's not a thing. They just have like the shame cameras, but they don't actually lose credits or something like that. But Americans do have not a social credit score, but a credit score. And that dictates how much money you can like take out for a loan or whatever, or how safe you are to take a loan. And all that is how much like debt do you take and do you pay it off little by little. If you take a big chunk of debt and pay it off the next month, you don't have a good credit score. You need to take debt and pay it off over a long period of time to have a good credit score, which means how good of a loyal slave are you? That's what our credit score is, in case you guys didn't know. That's just how good of a loyal slave you are, period. So I just thought like you guys should know what's going on in the world. And I really think, like people are realizing that everybody all around the world, they're good people and our governments are the problem and they've always been the problem. So let's be a little bit more realizing that this is all propaganda. And yes, we must disobey, not consume. What's the other one? Obey, consume, reproduce? I forgot the other one. Anyways, we don't have to listen to them and we don't have to hate each other. And the real reason why they're banning TikTok is they couldn't control the algorithm when the whole Palestine is Israel war thing, whatever, broke out. They couldn't control the narrative and they didn't like that. So, and they didn't like that the American people are like, we don't want anyone to be hurt. We don't want anyone to be hurt. And they got upset because they're like, no, we told you these are the enemies for this time. Maybe next year they'll be the good guys and the other people will be the enemies because like they like to switch everything on you. So just remember, there are no enemies. We're all people. The only enemy is big governments, not your fellow Americans, not your fellow humans, Chinese, Russians, whatever, all around the world. We're all cool people. The only people that suck are the ones trying to control us and make us fight against each other. Never hate people. Stop letting them win. And that's all I have to say for today. Make sure you like, subscribe, and leave a little comment below because I need to get monetized this year or I'm going to have to like find something else to do. And that would be really sad. Yeah. What? Okay. Anyways. See you all next time and have a great rest of your day and screw the government. Bye.
Start the revolution, let the truth begin. Wake up, defeated lies. Control the media's got you hypnotized. Trust authority, they'll take your soul. Break the chains, find your own control.